Welcome today. This is Thursday, October 8th, 2020. And today we have an incredible guest on the show today, the Mr. Tony Terry, the most famous wedding singer you've ever heard in your life. The brother is one of the most recognized voices in the history of R&B music. We'd like to welcome Mr. Tony Terry to the Swade Soul Show. Tony, how
Yo,
you doing
yo,
today?
what's good,
Good.
man? Can you hear me fine? Can you hear
I
me
hear you
good?
loud and clear, man. It's so good
Yeah,
to
yeah,
see you,
yeah. That's
man.
what's up. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works,
It
bro.
is. It is, man. Once we finally get it together, man. So
Yeah.
definitely, Tony, want to welcome you to the show, man. We got the
Thanks for having me.
legendary R&B singer, Mr. Tony Terry. Tony, I want to get right off with it, man. Let's start. I've done a little history on you, man, and kind of want to get into some things that maybe you haven't touched on in other interviews or things of that nature. But
All
I
right.
want to find out a little bit about you graduating from Duke Ellington School of Arts in Washington. Give us a
Um,
little insight on how that started, and what you
that
got out
that
of that.
that was the beginning of it all. I mean, I was so green, like I had not prepared. I hadn't studied before. I didn't know what. I had never taken a voice lesson before. I'd never done anything formal with training before, so I didn't even know how to audition. I didn't even know what the audition process was like. So I wasn't. I didn't know that I was supposed to take some sheet music, up and hand it to a pianist, and then they play it and we sing. I didn't know that. Nobody told me that, and so I had a recording. I was going to sing along with the Jeffrey Osborne record. So I was like, I walked into the audition. I was like, well, where's the record player? you know, I mean, they
A
were like,
real
that's
school
not
of
that's
art.
not how that's not how we do it.
I
so,
love it.
so I learned my first lesson at my first audition, and I got in, and it was amazing because if you've ever seen Fame, the TV show, that kind of freedom of artistic expression and kids running around studying acting scenes and dancing and artists writing, it was like that.
Wow.
It was a festive kind of learning experience. We were excited to be there. We had a longer than normal school day, but even after school was over, we still didn't want to go home because that's we were attached
Wow.
to the school. We're still attached to each other all these years later, and there are a lot of amazing people that came out of Duke Ellington. Dave Chappelle is one. Anthony
Yeah.
Anderson is another one. Denise Graves, who is the star of the Metropolitan Opera, she's one. Lots of television actors and actresses. Lamont Rucker, we know him from several television sitcoms. Lots of television actors and actresses have come out of Duke Ellington, have started their careers there, and it was like we got a real taste of what real life was going to be like in show business, and it wasn't easy, but we had a passion for it, and a lot of us chose to remain in it and make a living at our craft. I'm one of those people. I've been doing what I do since then, since I graduated. I had a real job, for about 2 years, but I always knew that was going to be temporary. So when I got an opportunity to do what I really wanted to do, I quit my job and moved to New York and did it. I
Wow.
didn't even think twice about it.
So that most people don't know. People that listen to you and just love your voice. Most people don't even know that you started out as an actor. So that tells me how that led from that schooling that you started in to participate in that. Could you give us a little insight on your acting days?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things acting wise over the years. I recently starred in a film where I got a chance to play Malcolm X called Martin, Malcolm and Me just last year. That was a challenge, but my whole life I've been told I look like him. And when I was younger, my hair was naturally a lighter, more reddish kind of tone. But as I've gotten older, like my dad, it just kind of gotten darker and darker brown.
Understood.
So I played this role from playing Malcolm X, and that was interesting. But over the years, I've done lots and lots and lots. I was in the original cast of Mama I Want to Sing, one of the longest, I think not one of, but the longest running Black off Broadway show in all of theater history. I was in one of the national tours of The Wiz where I played the Tin Man, along with we had Grace Jones as Eveline. We had Peebo Bryson as The Wiz. Cece Peniston was Glinda the Good Witch. It was an amazing cast. Um,
Was
Grace
that
might have scared the kids.
was that the play that was produced by Michael Jackson?
Say that again.
Was that Did Michael have something to do actually with that play?
No, Michael, the play that I was in that Michael produced was called Sisterella, which was like an urban version of the Cinderella story, and I played Prince Charming. He would come in and slip in the back and wear a mask and slip out before the show was over. So I never got a chance to really meet him, have a
Wow.
chop it up with him, but he was there a lot.
Wow, that's really interesting. So wow, so
Yeah.
so acting. When did you finally figure during that time frame after starting in acting to go, you know what? I think I can hang in this entertainment industry as a singer. So when did that
I
transpire?
never that it didn't. I just, you know, I, I've been singing my whole life. So I never thought about, like I'm gonna have to figure out what my thing is gonna be when I just, I just knew that it was gonna be, in the entertainment, but I just knew I just never questioned it. It wasn't ego, it wasn't, I think I'm this. I just never questioned it. I'm gonna sing. That's what it
Wow.
was.
So as a child around the house, is it something that your parents they were influential to you because of something that they did, or
Absolutely,
was it
absolutely
okay?
cultivated it. My parents had gospel groups, even though my parents were not the best singers. I hope my mom don't hear this, but my mama
Yes,
can't
sir.
sing. I'm gonna tell you that right
That's funny.
now.
I love it.
but they would have rehearsals at our house, and then the kids, me and my sister and my cousins, we be bored of playing out board games or watching TV or whatever it was we were doing, and we'd start singing too, making up songs, doing it. But ultimately, I was the only one that just stood the course. I mean, I just, I didn't for a short time. I thought I might join the military, and actually, if I had it to do over again, I probably would have gone into the military, um, and gotten a little structure, a little bit more structure, but. For a couple of years, I thought about joining the military, but that was just to get out the house quicker than I really wanted to get out. You know what I mean?
Do I
When I
know
was
what
old
you
enough,
mean?
well, when I was old enough to go, I left, and it's been an interesting journey.
So take us back to how the deal with Epic CBS went down in '87. How did
Um,
that come about?
okay, I was working on a project for Capitol Records, working with the Boogie Boys. If you remember them back in the '80s.
I
Fly
do, I
girl,
do.
fly
Yes.
girl, fly girl.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, yeah, we was
Yeah,
working
those
on the
are high
follow up
songs.
to that, and I met Ted Courier at a club. I was not really interested in going to this club, but I went. The band was good. It was the live venue, live music venue. Don't remember the name of the band, but they were good. Good enough for me to have a conversation with them and say, the only thing y'all are missing is me. And I
Right.
sang for them right there. And Ted Courier, who had produced A Fly Girl and an Atomic Dog for George Clinton and a few other massive hit records, was standing behind me. He introduced himself and gave me his card, and I held on to it for a couple of weeks. And I finally called him one night, and he invited me. He was really excited to hear me. I called him late. I don't know why, but I called him late. It might be about 11, and he was in the studio, Unique Recording on 47th and 7th in New York. And he was excited to hear from me, and he invited me to come to the studio. Right then, I was in New Jersey. I got on the train, the bus, the PATH train. I got to New York, and I got over there and met Ted, and he was working on the Boogie Boys follow up project, and he had all those guys in there, Parliament, Funkadelic, working on the project. Boogie Boys were there. I was fans of those guys, and I grew up listening to Parliament, so I was enamored. I was like, wow, Parliament is in here.
Wow.
There was a whole lot of stuff was going on.
Oh, I can imagine.
A whole
I
lot of
can
stuff was going
imagine.
on that night that I hadn't really seen a lot of before. Um,
Understood.
so it was eye opener for sure. But I met one of my boys there, and all along, when he was one of the musicians in the very first show that I did in New York, which took me to New York. His name is Daryl Moe, and Daryl be like, from the first day he met me at the first show, he was like, man, I'm gonna tell you something. You're different from all these other brothers, man. You're a star. And I didn't even see that. I didn't feel like that. And I was like, he's been telling me that from the very beginning. And he met me at the studio with Ted, and he told Ted Courier, if you put him in the booth, you're gonna fire all these other jokers. You're gonna fire them, I promise you. And I really wasn't prepared for him to say that, but he said it, and Ted was like, "Yo, okay, well, let's see what he got." Pulled those guys, out of the vocal booth. It was Gary Cooper. I don't know if you know who Gary Cooper was, but he was a
I
bass player.
do. I remember Gary.
Or he was the guy that wore the diaper.
Yes,
He
sir.
ended up becoming. In fact, when his brother Tim Scheider has written a couple of dope songs for me, tenderly inspired. That's going to be on my new project. Amazing, amazing songs. Very musical. Um, they were in there recording, and so Ted sent me in the booth and asked me to do some things, gave me some parts to sing, and I was knocking them out. One take, one take. They was calling me One Take Tony, and before I knew it, it was true. He did fire those guys,
Wow.
and he put me on that record, and it came out as Survival of the Freshest on Capitol Records, and it was like the first R&B album that had. It was the first rap record that had R&B hooks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then so I was there while I was there working on that record. It's hot here. While I was there working on the record, Ted's wife at the time called me into a room, and I was already in the studio singing, and had been doing it for a couple of weeks at this point. And there was about 5 or 6 people in the room, and she said, "Sing for these people," and I did, probably a Stevie Wonder song or something, and I didn't even know that they didn't know that they were management at Capitol Records. They signed me right away. They pulled out the paperwork. 7-album deal. Apparently this was
Wow.
already brewing, but I just wasn't aware of it. They had already set this up, this meeting, but I wasn't aware of it. So they offered me this 7-album deal. And, I didn't really have a mentor in the beginning, and probably a very similar story to a lot of people. And I signed the deal. I had a lawyer look at it, but I signed the deal. And the guy that signed me, the guy that was responsible for my deal, let me say that, got fired soon after.
Oh boy.
So then I didn't,
Support.
the record business. It's an ego-driven business. So now I don't belong to anybody.
Right.
So the next guy comes in, not really interested in taking on my project and blowing it up. He's more interested in signing his own acts and blowing them up. So fortunately for me, it was all in the stars because I didn't do anything to make this happen. The guy that signed me to Capitol and got fired was hired at Epic and convinced Epic to buy my contract from Capitol before I ever sang a note.
Wow.
So
Okay.
millions of dollars had changed hands before anything ever happened. And then Epic had me over there, and they was like, "Well, now what? Now what?" They had Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Tina Marie,
Wow.
Mariah Carey on the other side, me, this cat named Microwave, who was probably out of Prince's camp, I think, and somebody else. But what was going to happen with these people? They didn't know what to do with me. They really didn't have any expectation whatsoever. So my first record that came out, She's Fly, which was the last song I recorded for the album, after running into an old high school friend of mine who actually wrote the song. I was recording at Unique on 47th Street, and I was taking a break. I ran into one of my friends who I hadn't seen since high school, and we was catching up, and he told me he was a songwriter. Well, I didn't know him as a songwriter. I knew him as a dancer, actor, but not a songwriter. So he played this song for me that he wrote, She's Fly, in a rough draft. And I was like, yo, we have to cut this song. Took it back to the studio right then and there, played it for Ted. We started cutting it. And I remember it was the day to cut the lead vocal for She's Fly. And I had some nasal congestion. I might have had the flu or something. And I said, "Hey, you got me jumping, your beautiful body." I was like, "No, no, 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 you can't keep that." He was like, "No, you crazy. We keeping that. We keeping that. That's fire." So no, no. I was stuttering. You can't keep that. He's like, "You crazy. We keeping that. You crazy if you think I'm gonna erase that." So that's how the first line of your beautiful body is showing up bumping on She's
Wow.
Fly was a real legitimate stutter that he was like, "No, we're keeping that. You crazy if we think we're going to erase
Wow. What a story.
that."
Okay, I got
Yeah,
a question. Okay,
yeah.
so how is, being an active artist today different from when, say, you first got started? What do you see different today for these new
Everything
artists
is
today?
different. I mean, from signing from, you know, a $500,000, a $250,000 signing bonus to they'll do that no more. What's it? We talking about signing bonus. You have to turn in
Really,
your project already done in 2020, and you got to have 2 million followers, and you
really,
got to have sold 100 million. I mean, you know, just like
really. Oh, that's so they get it
there's
ready
no.
made and packaged so they can just put their
Yeah,
name
by
on
the
it.
time you
Wow.
take it to a record company, you really don't need them. If you've been able to amass a following of, you know, 1 million people and 500,000 of them buy, you know, a download from you, you at a dollar you've made $500,000.
Okay,
So
so
and you don't have to
someone
give that to the record company.
absolutely. So someone with your tenure, your history, your hits involved, what can you give knowledge wise to the average artist on the basics of understanding, say, publishing and why it's so important to them in that
I
phase?
mean, publishing is everything. If you don't own the music, you don't own anything. You can't. That's where the money's made. It's cut and dry, that simple. If you don't own it, you're not making any money off of it. Period.
So those now you heard it here. Those royalties come in and they keep paying you for years to come. So based
If you're
on
smart enough to hold on to it, but somebody will sell their songs. You know, a lot of cats will sell their songs, and you know, or sell most of the publishing, sell them for $50 or 100. I know the dude that did the track for Walk It Out, the Walk It
yes,
Out track for
yes.
got $50.
What?
He
Okay.
he created the track, created
Wow.
it.
So
But he
George
sold it to
Clinton.
him. He sold it to him. So now Unc can say he wrote it. He sold it to him for that amount
Wow.
of money. So after you sold it to him, you no longer own it. It's now his. He can do whatever he wants. So yeah, he took it and made, you know, a couple of $1 million off of it.
So
And
when
all you
they
can do is just say you wrote it, because
wow.
you didn't
Okay,
take care
so
of business.
you brought up the Parliament Funkadelic situation, and I know that that was a big serious thing back in the day when George sold his publishing. I mean, people talked about that and how he got very little for it, and I mean things like Atomic Dog, things like
Yeah, but you know, there's circumstances that make you sell your publishing for very little money. You know, they was doing some crazy stuff back then, and I love George Clinton. He's a great dude. In fact, he taught Ted Courier how to fish,
hmm,
and Ted in turn taught me how to fish. And we would
hmm,
go up. That would be one of our pastimes that we would do when we was kind of trying to break away from the craziness of, you know, traveling and being on all the time. We just go fishing. We go upstate New York, get a cabin, and go fishing for the weekend or for 4 or 5
wow,
days. Just, you know,
relaxing.
just relax, man, and have the best time.
Wow, man. So just in essence, in that situation, what you're saying on circumstances that cause people to be able to want to
Yeah,
sell their
sometimes
publishing, you know, going through life, just life exchanges make
you need the
musicians
money.
go through things. Right. Wow.
If I know
So
you need the money, then I'm gonna sell it to you for less than you should have told me you needed the money,
then it's
George.
worth.
Shut up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Should have
And I
told me
just
you needed it.
I just find that a lot of artists run into that when I've been dealing with people. Everybody from R. Kelly on down have had some kind of issues when it comes to their publishing and being able to have a consistent check coming in by selling their goods before. No, or even then, I've seen problems happen, and maybe you ran into this kind of situation with people going into the studio with different musicians and nobody's keeping a split sheet and nobody's
All
keeping
right, now, yeah, I don't.
aware of
No, I
who's
don't do that. I have done that, but we don't do that. And so, if I'm in a writing session, whoever's in the room is a part of the writing crew. So
process.
then if you're not a part of the process, then you have to go. With all due respect. So if there's four
Understood.
people in the room, the song gets split up 4 ways. I don't care if those 4 people, if of those 4 people, the only word you put in was at. If you were
Gotcha.
part of the process, then you know it evenly split. Otherwise, you can't be in the room and only the people. That's my so I sign my split sheets before we start.
That's a very fair man. I see
That's
that.
the only
So
way to
very
be, because you know
absolutely.
I've been taken advantage of. You know, I know I know what it feels like, you know, to be on the receiving end of, you know, having your stuff taken from you. So wouldn't want to make somebody else feel like that.
Man, what I want to do real quick, Tone, is I want to go out and play this hot new single that you got out right now to everybody called Born to Love You. And could you
Born to
give
Love
us?
You. Oh, I got the remix too for you, man.
Okay, I mean, I love
It's
the
some fire,
remix. I
bro.
love the Go-Go remix. That is a hot version. So I mean,
Yes,
we
sir.
can have you play it from your end, or I could tackle it from my end, whichever one
Well,
you
if I
want.
play it, I have to do it live because I only have the instrumental.
Man, you know the people would love to hear you sing live, man. Come on. So you feel like doing that for us on here?
Sure.
Man,
I thought you might ask me that.
man, I like that. We got Tony Terry, legendary R&B singer, getting ready to give you guys some real. I want all you R&B singers out here right now that think you are R&B artists, or people that want to be a singer in the future. I want y'all to listen to this when it go down. This is what a real artist does, and I'm not saying any of you aren't
Hey
a
man,
real
stop
artist.
souping me up, man. Stop souping me up.
I'm just
Don't
being
soup me up,
real.
man.
I'm just being real. Here we go. So Tony, man, we looking forward to this. Mr. Tony
Okay, here it
Terry
is.
on Swade Soul Show.
Oh yeah. Hey baby, can I talk to you? Oh baby, if I told you I adore you, it would cost me nothing, but it cost me everything. If I could offer you nothing, but oh, my time and patience is enough. There's no price tag on Tony's touch. Woo-woo. So I text you up letters and send you poinsettias. Count on me to make it better. It's me on you and you on me. Baby, baby, baby. Baby, baby, baby. Baby, baby, baby. I love you. I was born to love you. Oh, yes, I was. And you know that I'm right, that I'm right, that I'm right. I was born to love you. Yeah. Yeah. When it's raining outside, don't mind the weather, because that's where we find. Ooh, ooh, let's sip honey jack, let's roll. What you feeling that loud of that roll? It don't matter, cause I already know everything that you like of your dream, baby. You're the medicine for my pain. You're the reason that it goes away. Girl, you brighten my day, and I want you to know you're the reason I smile, baby, 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 baby. I love you. I was born to love you. Oh yes, I was. And you know that I'm right, that I'm right, that I'm right. I was born to love you. Oh yes, I was. I don't even really care what they talk about. I still want you say what they want to say, but I'm still in love with you. Don't let it pass by. It's a moment, baby. Connection. You and I, baby, 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 baby. Baby, baby, baby. Baby, baby, baby. I love you. I was born to love you. Oh yes, I was. And you know I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. I was born to love you. I was born to love you. Hey, babe. Woo. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Man, there y'all have it, Mr. Tony Terry, live and direct. We're born to love you. Hey, man, there was no beefing your head up on that one, man. You tore that up. That's what I'm talking about. Live action. So that's, all y'all new jacks out there, I get it. It's
Yes,
figured
sir.
out.
You
So
should
much
figure it out.
respect. Figured out. Much respect. I got another question that I think that I like to ask you about, man. Do you think
Okay,
artist development is important in today's music industry?
I do, but I don't think it exists. It's important, but it doesn't exist. If it did exist, we wouldn't have so much mumble rapping going
That is a fact. That is
on.
a fact.
I
So,
mean, you got to know how to interview. You got to know how to talk. When I started, I remember spending an entire day, literally an entire day, calling every record store in the country, even if they only had one copy of my record, to say thank you. I called
wow.
every radio station in the country, every radio station that was playing my record, even if they only played it one time a week. I called them and said thank you, and
That's
it made a
artist
difference.
development.
You know what I mean? They taught me, well, I came in, I wasn't an idiot. I wasn't an idiot. I know how to talk to people and I came from the South, I came from North Carolina, and I came from a very giving family. And so, I'm the kind of guy that waved to strangers in New York, and people look at me like I'm crazy because nobody talks to each other in New York.
Yeah, I know. Me too,
I
man.
get on the elevator and say hey to everybody.
I love
Nobody
it.
says anything back.
Love it.
That kind of thing. But so it looks like my phone is about to die, man. That I didn't realize I have only 3%
Well, Tone,
left on it.
man, this
So
we have had a great. This has been almost 30 minutes, so we about 3 minutes from ending anyway. So what I want to do is thank you for this opportunity, and want to look forward to definitely pushing everything you
hey,
got going
man,
on, man. I'm
thank
playing
you
you
for
right
having me,
now
bro.
on Sway Soul. We're playing you on Sway
I
Soul.
love it.
I
I
got a
love
couple
it.
other
Thank you for
things
the
I want
love,
you to
man.
do. Absolutely,
Yeah.
man, and I'll be back with you because I want you to do a lot of things we talked about in the past. What I spoke with you about
Okay.
earlier. We're
Oh,
putting
let's
in
do
those
it. Let's
places.
do it, man. I'd love to do some drops for you too. So you got my number, and let's set that up, and we'll keep it going. All right.
Appreciate you very much. Tony
Thank you, brother.
Terry,
Thank you, man.
legendary.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate
Thanks
you,
for
sir.
tuning in, everybody. God
All
bless.
right. God bless you,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
All right.
Swade.